Next, in our tour of the legal environment in which business is conducted, we need to know a little bit about government regulations and, in particular, administrative agencies and how they function. So governments often create agencies to perform specific legislative functions and administer particular federal statutes. So the legislature will enact a statute known as an enabling act, and it establishes that an agency will then carry forth the goals of that act, and it'll establish the agency, grant the agency the authority, and so forth, to make then rules and regulations regarding the specified issue or issues. And the idea is that an agency with expertise, or that can develop expertise in a particular area, will over time be better situated to make the minute sets of rules and regulations that are necessary to effectuate the broad purposes of the statute, as opposed to having to go back to the legislature and rewrite the statute all the time to take account of changes in technology, changes in knowledge, changes in environmental environment and context, and so forth. So the executive branch or the legislative branch, or both, supervise those agencies. Many agencies are independent and are not really directly supervised by either the legislative or the executive branch. Agencies are required to hold public meetings, and the Federal Information Act requires agencies to provide citizens with information that they request, unless the information falls within an exempted category like national security or trade secrets or something like that. And some of the most prominent agencies that are, I think, relevant for business purposes would be the National Labor Relations Board, which administers federal labor laws, the Securities and Exchange Commission, which oversees the purchase and sale of securities, the Social Security Administration, which manages the nation's Social Security system, the Federal Communications Commission, which regulates radio, television, and other forms of communication, the Environmental Protection Agency, which regulates air and water pollution and toxic substances, and so forth. When you disagree with a rule that an administrative agency is promulgating, you can often bring some sort of claim which gets brought initially in a hearing conducted by judges within that administrative agency. And those judges are called administrative law judges. And the Administrative Procedure Act, which governs all of these administrative agencies, sets the standards for federal agency rulemaking, as well as the standards for hearings conducted by those agencies. So you would have these administrative proceedings. Most of these agencies also have an appellate review board within the agency. So if you don't like what the administrative law judge says, you can go to an appellate body. And then after the administrative agency has made its final determination, that final determination can be reviewed in the courts. Generally speaking, the courts won't look at it until you've exhausted your administrative remedies, but then you can go into a court. A court will often give a lot of deference to what administrative agencies do on the theory that they have the expertise, and as long as what they are doing is within the boundaries of what was delegated by Congress, then it will generally be found to be okay, unless the actions are, to use the test, arbitrary, capricious, or not in accordance with law. And so if you can prove that the agency acted in a way that was arbitrary, not explained, not justified by the record evidence in front of the agency, perhaps not paying attention to counter-arguments, things like that, then you can get a court to overturn what the agency did or send it back to the agency for further determination.